Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to the No Name Music Cast. My name's Tim, and this is
Joy.
And as we've said at the beginning of a few of our episodes, if you really enjoy this podcast, please share it with your friends. We have listeners all over the world, and we're very lucky to have that. But, we're always looking to grow our listenership. So if you would like to share it with your friends, share some links that we post, or anything like that, we would appreciate it greatly.
Yes.
So we always start our episodes, or we have done for a while, with a tip of the day. And I believe that Joy has a tip of the day. So over to you.
So my tip is, as always, very targeted to the day that I live in and the day that I live in. Like, I need to specify I was living in it. Okay. Well, anyway. All right. So off to a good start. So me and some coworkers all went to eat dinner after work. After I enjoyed some resounding buffalo tofu tacos, I had to walk back to my car, which is in the town that me and Tim kind of work in, Blacksburg, downtown. Parking, you usually end up having to park on the road or something. So I was walking back behind Cabo Fish Taco to my car, which is on Church Street. We were all chit-chatting, and I stepped wrong off the curb while we were talking. And at the time, it was fine. That's fine. I didn't actually fall or anything. It just, I kind of stepped wrong and I jerked. And I already have some back issues, though mine's not from playing heavy guitars. Mine's just life. Well, I get to my car and I notice, okay, that increasingly hurts. That hurts a lot. So my tip is watch where you're going, but when you're walking on a sidewalk. But yeah, I now have a lot of pain in my ankle. It's up my leg, it's my back. I was huffing and puffing while I was trying to get over here, and there's some numbness, which I experienced already with some of my back problems. But yeah, so my tip is just watch where you're going.
Yeah, I think, Joy, half the time I just want to put you in bubble wrap all the time, because every moment of every day seems to be an opportunity for a Joy injury. And I've witnessed Joy injuries live.
It's not my husband. When I got home, Charlie was just like, of course. And he just keeps walking. He's just like, I expect no less. It's just what I live. I don't know. But yeah. So if you hear me huffing and puffing on the podcast, it's probably just because I'm in pain. But anyway. All right, Tim, what's your tip?
Okay, so this, again, my tips tend to be particularly specific. So just imagine it was 15, 16, 17 years ago.
I thought you were going to say 1562. I'm like, why would I?
1562. Yeah, imagine 15, 16, 17 years ago, however long this was. And you wanted to set up a new email account, and you had Hotmail, and you was like, that's old hat. And this Gmail thing was around, and you think, well, let's set up a Gmail account.
As we all did.
Yeah. My advice to people living 17 years ago, don't set up a Google Apps email just because you can have a custom domain name with it.
Oh, okay.
Because for the last 15, 16 years or whatever, it's been fine. I had my own domain name, caesarmail.com. Everything's great. Look at that. I've got a custom email address, and it's easy to remember and all that kind of stuff. And you're not like Tim57389 at Gmail and all that business going on. And then what happens is, over time, Gmail depreciate features. And I get an email today saying that the free version of this service is being wrapped up. And if I want to carry on with it, I have to pay a monthly fee for everyone who has that email account. And I have it. Hannah has it. Her mother has it. There's about 5 other people that all have at caesarmail.com email addresses. And guess what? I'm not paying $6 a month per user for that.
Oof. No, not for the email account.
So I'm currently in the process of migrating my email from one Gmail account to another, which you think, oh, that's pretty straightforward. It is an absolute catastrophe. I think all the things that are tied to it, it's a mess.
It's like when your credit card number, your expiration date expires, Tim, and you slowly start realizing, over time, how many things had that automatic. And they're like, and that didn't get paid. Crap, they still have the old one. Okay, they still have the old one. Do you know what I'm talking about? When it expires every time, it never fails.
Absolutely. And it's like that, but times 10, because it's banking, it's food, it's stuff I buy, it's... Oh.
That's where all of Tim's birthdays for all of his restaurants go.
Oh, so I have I've started building tonight a transition document with all the things that I need to do, and more things I typed into it, more things came up. So I've got till like May, I think, to figure this out. So I mean, I should have this wrapped up in a few weeks, hopefully. But
we live very different lives. My email is not. Mine's just a bunch of spam. There's nothing in there that I would be that concerned about.
Oh, it's the center of my electronic life. So anyway, so my advice to people living 17 years ago, don't do that. Just set up a normal Gmail account and then you won't have this problem in January 2022.
And Charlie had that for a while. My husband, he had one that was like at some, you're at Caesar or whatever. And he did away with it at some point. So maybe he was smart thinking, Tim. I don't know.
Yeah, and I actually about a year ago, I said to Hannah, I said, I think I should probably migrate off that. And I started thinking about it, of the aggravation that it would bring. And I thought, nah, just be fine. And then I said, I get this email today and I'm like, uh-oh.
I mean, to be fair, it would be, I guess if I started thinking about like my Facebook account, my this account, and this and this and this, but I have to think it through.
Oh, I see
what you're saying.
It's a mess. Anyhow, that's going to be my life for the next couple of weeks, figuring all that out. Goodness me. But anyhow, but there we go. That's what I'm up to. That's a little tip for all you people who have a time machine.
I feel like we spend a lot of time talking about things that happened a long time ago on this podcast. Like half the time, it's hot off the presses. What year did Elvis die?
I just feel very comfortable with the past. So, I mean, that golden era, 1980 to 1989, what a great era. I mean, I'm just happy to live there,
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. At least you know where your happiness lies, Tim.
Exactly. And so I get up every morning and I put my calculator watch on, and it's what was beautiful. I swear our users do not believe that you manage a help desk for IT. There's like the that guy, absolutely not.
Like they're probably like, pretty sure that guy like literally no. Anyway, though, so Tim, it is your turn to pick our topic.
Yes, absolutely. And I've got a good topic. I've been thinking about this one for a while, and it was suggested to me by Hannah some time ago, but I think this is a great topic and one we haven't done yet. And this is clapping songs.
As soon as you said it's suggested by Hannah, I was like, I wonder if it's the clapping songs.
Yeah. So I've done some extensive research into the realm of songs with clapping in them. And I was very surprised with some of these clapping songs that they actually have clapping in, because as I was researching it, I thought, that doesn't have clapping in it. And then you listen to it back and you're like, it totally has clapping in it. And I didn't know that.
I mean, and that's the thing, though, is it could sound like a sound effect if they did it right, that you might not pick up that it's clapping. But yeah, if you are a listener and you're a new listener, you have not listened a few episodes back, Tim has mentioned to me Hannah's theory that all songs with clapping are good. It's an ongoing thing. So
yeah, she's got this thing. If it's got clapping in it, she says it's going to be a good song and it makes her happy.
Well, to be fair, I mean, maybe rhythm. If it's good clapping, they're keeping rhythm.
Yeah. But there we are. Anyhow, so I've pulled together a list of songs with clapping, and we probably won't get to all of them over the course of our evening, but I just thought we'd go through them one by one, and let's talk about the world of clapping in songs.
Okay.
All right, so I'm opening with All the Young Dudes by Mott the Hoople. And then one thing I will say before I launch into the discussion, okay, I will tell you where the clapping appears. So
yeah, because I don't hear it when you say it.
Yeah, I didn't think All the Young Dudes had clapping in it. It's in the chorus. When they're singing All the Young Dudes, there's a clap through it.
Oh, yeah, it almost sounds like a hi-hat or something, keep it rhythm. It doesn't sound like a clap to me when I hear that.
Yeah, it definitely is clapping. Now, as most people probably know, or maybe some listeners don't know, All the Young Dudes was written by David Bowie.
Yes, and he produced their music, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, he was in and around the world of Mott the Hoople. Mott the Hoople, when they were touring, I think one of their first big tours, Queen was their support band.
Yeah, and to be fair, they weren't as popular, I think, in America as they were in Europe, but I have heard of them and seen their music and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and in the Queen Magic Years documentary, there's like one of their early roadies who was a roadie for Mott the Hoople, and his famous quote was, "What a bunch of tossers, they'll never make it," and that about Queen. Gosh.
You ever wonder, though, have you ever said something that didn't pan out and you're really glad you didn't say it like on national TV or something? You're like, God, I'm glad I never said that out loud, and that the complete opposite happens.
I've had some interesting
sure, if I go back
opinions
through
over
this
the
podcast,
years.
I'll find someone like, why did I say that on air?
That's the thing. Once you say it on here, it's forever. You can never get away from it.
Me and Tim, we're never going to be able to run for office again because they will come find us and everything we said on here.
I don't know if I'd want to run for office.
I don't think I would either. Glam rock, hard rock, that kind of thing. But it does have that kind of cool rhythm in the chorus. And really, if a song was going to have clapping, the chorus makes the most sense typically. Like the bridge doesn't make a whole lot of sense, so the chorus makes the most sense.
Exactly. But I mean, this is a good song. Maybe Mr. Bowie in the studio was like, do you know what, Mott the Hoople? What this needs, that little cherry on the top. Start clapping, guys. So,
question, do you think, and this is going to sound dumb, speaking of dumb things that I'm putting out to the world, do you think that it's them clapping, or do you think they had someone in the studio and their only job that day was to clap on the track?
No, it would be them. I mean, this is the 70s, so it was before...
Sure, it was like 72 or something.
Yeah, it's before... it is 72. Before big superstar productions, before libraries of sounds and Pro Tools and all that stuff, it would have been them just...
That's what I'm thinking.
Clapping in the studio. They go, okay, guys, we just go clap, and there you go.
You know what I would hate, though, is like they're like, okay, we're all musicians. We all know the song real well, but there's still one guy that can't quite clap all the time. So we're like, we're going to have to cut Mark. Mark, you stop clapping. Sue, John, you're good. Keep clapping. But Mark, sorry, bud. About a half second too short. Bass player can't keep up. Oh, Lord.
Oh, dear. But there you go. That is all the young dudes. Now... the next song that we're going to come to, this has become one of these songs that's stuck in my brain. Now, I know we spoke about Wilson Phillips's Hold On.
Which was in my head for a very long time after we talked about it.
And Islands in the Stream, Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton was stuck in my brain for a long time. And also Katy Perry's Waking Up in Vegas was stuck in my brain for a while. This is the latest song that's stuck in it. It's all I want to hear, and it's all that's in there at the moment. And it's bizarre because... it only came into my thinking researching for this episode because I didn't know it had clapping in it. And really, I can't stop wanting to listen to it and, more importantly, watch the video.
Okay.
And this is We Are the World.
So, oh my God. So first of all, I'm surprised you didn't say Mickey by Tony Basil when we were talking about songs that are stuck in your head. Second of all, because didn't you say Mickey got stuck in your head for a real long time?
It did for a little while. It got cleansed by, I think, Wilson Phillips.
Okay. So okay, weirdly enough, Tim has talked about this YMCA store, but local does that he likes to get things from, CDs, albums, whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, I was in there and Tom Jones was playing. So I texted him. I was like, oh my gosh, your sweethearts over the, and then it was like, they played like Tom Jones and they played Mariah Carey. Then We Are the World started playing while I was in there, Tim. And it was so random because I was sitting there thinking, did they like put on my YouTube playlist? Because the entire time I was in there, the music was so good. And Charles like, it's probably just, I was like, and so here I am like walking around singing We Are the World. I'm sure there was probably a bunch of young youths from the Blacksburg area at the Virginia Tech that were like, what is this?
Well, I can tell you that. So like, obviously I was alive when We Are the World was out. I think it's 84 or 85 or something like that. And as everybody knows, the first big charity single was Band-Aid's Do They Know It's Christmas? And then like the American response to that was We Are the World. Now, We Are the World went to number one in the UK. And on top of the pops, we only got like a little clips of the video. And, it's very obvious who the various different singers were. But I hadn't thought about this for a long time. And then as I was going through each of the songs, I thought, well, actually, I don't even have We Are the World in my library. So I pulled it up on YouTube and I was like, this is brilliant. Look at all these people in it. This is the best thing ever.
So I went through a We Are the World phase for about I don't know, like 6 weeks. It's not just you, Tim. Maybe it's all of us. And I have gotten to the point where when certain people are singing, because I've watched the music video so many times, I can actually see like Diana Ross over here, and then I can see like Kenny Rogers come out here. I talked about in the last episode, Cyndi Lauper when she comes in and does her part, and just different parts of it. Like I can physically see that, because the video I think is really good too, because it's really interesting. Because you're like, wait, is that? I don't think I knew that person was singing.
Yeah, because in the ensemble, like Dan Aykroyd is in the audience. There's I think I read the Wikipedia article, and a lot of the people who are in the ensemble came from an awards show that was on that same night. And the session for recording started at 8 p.m. and a lot of people turned up about 10, 11 p.m. and it went all the way to the next morning. Wow. And what's interesting is that Quincy Jones produced the track. And apparently, as you walked in the studio, Quincy Jones would put a sign up and it says, "Check your egos here."
That's great.
Because you imagine all of those people in there, probably sort of diva behavior because they're all famous. And he said,
and they were like it wasn't just average. Like there's a lot of really famous people who sang in "We Are the World." Oh,
goodness me. Like you said, Kenny Rogers, Michael Jackson, Huey Lewis.
Diana Ross is in there.
Yeah, Ray Charles is on it.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen.
That's what I was just thinking. I could see him in my head. I mean, we could keep going. Like, there's so many. But if you watch the video, if you guys have never watched the video, go watch it, because like the way they have it set up with the choir. So what it is they're in a big choir and then they come down to the mics for their part. So you can see them come down and sing their parts. And it's just so cool. Stevie Wonder's in there, right? Or is it
Stevie Wonder.
Because I can hear his part, because his part's one of my favorite parts. But yeah, you've never seen it. It's great. But I'm still trying to identify where's clapping.
So it's in it changes key, I think once or twice towards the end of the ensemble. Mm-hmm. I think it's on the last key change they start clapping in terms of the music. Oh,
okay. And I remember Diana Ross is wearing a sweater. Like a very white, big, baggy sweater, and I kind of could see her clapping now. You could tell I've watched the video a few times.
Yeah, I've watched it maybe 5 times in the last 2 days.
I went through a phase, man. It's one of those things that, like, and I was really, what it was is I had watched a documentary on the making of We Are the World. Mm-hmm. And I remember them talking about them, like, falling asleep on the floor because it was so late and stuff, and they were there forever. And so then I kept going back and just watching the video. It was super interesting to me.
Yeah, and you know the funny thing? So we watched that, and then we watched the Band-Aid Do They Know It's Christmas. Now, I'm not critiquing what they were trying to achieve or critiquing, the awareness and the money they raised and all that kind of stuff, but purely as a piece of art, if you compare the two, if you just look at the longevity of the artists, like We Are the World, apart, I think, Kim Cairns, and there's a couple of other people who didn't necessarily become complete legends. But, like, if you look on Band-Aids, Do They Know It's Christmas, you got, like, George Michael, Sting, and Bono, and that's pretty much it. And then, like, Paul Young had a good career, but he's not in the same legendary category.
Those are the only 3 that I remember from Band-Aid, to be honest. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, and like a lot of them who are singing, you think, oh, well, what happened to Boy George? And what happened to... Whereas the We Are the World, every one is a legend.
Yeah, I wonder how many people sing on We Are the World. I'm going to look. How many singers?
If I had to guess, it's 40 or 50 or something like that.
It's a pretty good solid 46.
There you go. It wasn't a bad guess. And all the Jackson brothers are there. And like, this is a Daryl Hall thing. They let Daryl Hall have his own line, yet John Oates had to sit and sing in the ensemble.
That's true. Diane Warwick was there. I remember seeing her. There. I don't know. We could probably go on forever, but yeah, apparently it was 46. Lionel Richie. We forgot about Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie co-wrote the song with Michael Jackson.
Yeah. He's up in front, like helping direct or whatever in the video.
Yeah.
And then Michael gets his whole big section, of course, but Quincy Jones and Michael, of course.
And also because Michael Jackson got there 2 hours before everyone else, so he cut his parts before anyone arrived. And that is why when you see him, he has his own shot with his own camera thing, and it's all set up.
It's completely separate from everybody else's.
And it was recorded in the same place, but he got there before everyone else to do that.
Smart, Michael. Smart. All right. What is the next clapping song?
Okay, so... Here's one. This is from, I think my library says 1995, but I don't know if the date for that is correct. But this is the Rembrandts' I'll Be There For You, which, of course, is the theme from Friends.
Does the original have clapping, or is it only the Friends that has clapping?
No, this is off the Rembrandts LP that I have, or album that I have. Yeah. And it was always there. The clapping is there. That's part of the song.
That's like some Manson. Nelson. What is the Mandela? I almost said Nelson Mandela. I almost said it's like a Mandela effect, if I've ever heard one. Because I love Friends, but I've watched every episode. I love the theme song. It's a great song outside of the TV show. Mm-hmm. But it's very appropriate for a theme song, like that time period, though. It works so well for what they're trying to convey with the Friends thing. It's literally I'll be there for you, right? Mm-hmm. It's like Friends, but it's also very 90s pop of a song. Like it has that super almost, I guess, I don't want to say like it follows that standard kind of pop music melody that works so well, which fits with Friends perfectly. At least I think that was a great song choice. And the what is with me? The Remembrance. It wasn't even hard. It wasn't even a hard word. To be honest, I feel like they owe Friends a lot for that song becoming as big as it did.
Well, I'm sure the Rembrandts were probably suitably reimbursed for that, and all of syndication and DVDs and VHS tapes.
See, that's where the money is, y'all. And I don't think of them as having that many hits. So like maybe they made enough off of Friends. They got to go live a good life. They
had another song called The Way It Is.
Yeah.
But I don't think I think they probably released one album. It had that Friends theme on it. It got picked for the TV show and they're like, peace, people.
I can go afford to live and do whatever I want for the rest of my life. Bye.
But I can tell you an interesting fun fact that will not shock you. I've never even seen one episode of Friends.
Well, that doesn't shock me. I love Friends, though. Well, one day we'll have to just make Tim watch one 30-second clip of Friends to see what he says. You watched Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Seinfeld. Hannah loves Seinfeld. That's why we watch Seinfeld.
Okay. Hannah does not love Friends, then?
She may have watched it, but it's not one that comes up on the rotation that she would like to see.
Fair enough. I love Friends and I love Seinfeld, so either way.
There we go. The big Friends versus Seinfeld debate.
Well, I just think of about the same time frame in my mind, and people who like Friends tend to like. But there are people who are very alienated about it, because I remember I had a boss who loved Seinfeld and thought Friends was terrible. But I've heard the flip side too. Mm-hmm. So who knows? I like both.
There we go. Fantastic. All right. Well, let's move it on to the next one. Now, this is a classic. Now, I have maybe not an abnormal love, but I have a love for this act, and we've just mentioned them just a moment ago, which is Hall & Oates and Private Eyes.
Okay, so I still can't think of Daryl Hall without thinking about him looking like a cat, but anyway. And the fact that he lives at a fortress and,
Yeah, shooting deer because everyone in his family has Lyme's disease.
It's very super villainy, but I do love the song Private. Well, I love Hall & Oates in general, but I like the song Private Eyes.
It's in the chorus. It's Private Eyes watching you.
They're making you okay, yeah. So to be fair, I know that I just learned that. I learned that song on my ukulele not too long ago.
Oh, wow.
And then another song that follows under that kind of same is Heartache Tonight by the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Does it have any clapping in it? I don't think it does. I just think it's got that kind of breakdown between the little verses.
It may have clapping, but from my extensive research that I did on the internet, it didn't come up.
By giving it a Google on the internet. No, it may not. I was just thinking it falls under that. It has that same kind of feel to the song. But that's another song that actually every Hall & Oates song will get stuck in your head.
Hall & Oates, certainly during their golden period of writing and recording music, have such good songs. All of them are classics.
Well, and I've never heard anyone say they don't. Now, I've heard people not know who Hall & Oates were, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say they don't like Hall & Oates.
No, it's impossible. Man-Eater and...
I can't go for that.
I love Method of Modern Love because he actually spells it out. METHOD. It's perfect.
Sarah Smile is another one. I mean, of course, everyone knows You Make My Dreams Come True. That's probably their number one hit, Maneater.
Maneater. Now, that's a great track.
I've told you my story about Rich Girl. I argued with my mother my entire childhood that he was not saying Rich Girl through that entire song. But she told me I was wrong. She did want me to know it's actually the cuss word. But as an adult now, I can tell you, Mom, I figured it out. Because she's like, no, he's just saying Rich Girl. I'm like, that doesn't sound like it, Mom. That will forever go on and on. Whatever. So do you know why they hate each other now?
I don't know. I think I don't know this. I don't know either of them. I don't have any insider information, but I would think that Daryl Hall got a little bit too big for his boots. I don't know whether he's the primary songwriter, but certainly he was the face of it for the most part.
Yeah, it was
much like Art Garfunkel and Paul Simon. When Paul Simon decided that worked out that he could sing and he didn't need Art Garfunkel anymore. I think it's that kind of thing because Daryl Hall had a solo career, but I think what he worked out is he needed Oates because people wanted Hall and Oates. Yeah.
Well, and I don't know, maybe this is just because I think he sounds like a bad guy now, but it seems you're probably right. I think that maybe Hall took it a little too far. We forgot Your Kisses on the list.
Yeah, that is a good track.
Hall & Oates songs. That's a good one too. I mean, you could that's a band that I think you could probably sit here and name songs for the next 20 minutes and wouldn't get through all of them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should do a Hall & Oates episode at one point and go through the musical genius of Hall & Oates.
We just would have to keep me on track, not thinking about Daryl Hall looking like a cat. I don't know what. Does Oates still have a mustache?
I think he's legally obliged to. I think there's probably, wherever he lives, there's a state law that covers that.
Yeah, I mean, probably it has to be that intense at all times. I'm going to give it a Google. What does he look like? Okay. Well, no, I'm looking at the other one, Joy. I almost started typing the cat guy.
The cat guy. This is breaking news. Does he still have his mustache?
Well, helps if I could spell his name.
She's good.
In more recent photos, he does still have a mustache.
I said he does. There are laws that govern that.
I agree. I mean, I just haven't really seen or heard anything out of him for a while.
He keeps a low profile, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he probably has enough money. He doesn't really need to worry about it. Now, given the mustache has thinned out, and he's got more of a goatee thing happening in a few of these. Oh, in that photo, he did have a mustache.
Yeah.
Okay, it's up for debate. Some of them he does. Some of them he's got a very weird goatee thing happening. Okay.
Well, if anyone out there knows John Oates and he wants to call in and comment on his facial hair situation, we would be happy to discuss that.
I mean, it was an iconic mustache. Really was. Like I like how this is a music podcast. We're sitting more time talking about the mustache. All right, what's the next clapping song?
Well, the next song is someone that you've discussed a few times on the podcast, and this would be Elton John, and this is Benny and the Jets.
Did you see the Elton John news, Tim?
And in fact, that's one of the reasons I brought it up, that Elton has very mild COVID.
He does. He seems to be doing well, though.
Yeah, he's double, triple vaccinated, and he said he has very mild symptoms, and he will be back rocking before you know it.
I'm very happy to hear that. As soon as the headline came up that I just saw his name, I probably almost cried and fell out the window until I read into more detail. But that's just me. Also, when any artist, like Tim was saying, if you get the chance to go see someone, go see them now. Any artist of older stature, if their name appears, I probably get a panic a little.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem with I don't do Facebook so much anymore. I'm all about the Twitter, and if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's Tim Caesar. But one thing that you see on the Twitter is that you go to the page where it says trending,
and you'll see a name you don't know why.
And you see a name, and you're like, oh no, Stevie Wonder. Why? And then you look, it's like someone said, oh, this song by Stevie Wonder is great, and then someone else will say, yes, it is, and it's like, oh, I had this song at my wedding, and then 10 people like it, and then it's trending.
I mean, and and I told you guys that one time there was a baseball player named Santana that I thought was Santana, but turns out it was talking about a baseball player. But I instantly went, why is Santana trending? What's that about?
Yeah, that's not anything I ever want to think about. Carlos Santana again is somebody who really should live forever because he gives, outside of playing his guitar, he gives the best interviews.
Yes, he seems like a very interesting person.
There was an interview, it was on like CBS This Morning or something like that, and the interviewer was asking about his guitar, and he says, "Oh, when I play a guitar, I want it to sound like a woman." Mm-hmm. And she says, "What do you mean? What does a woman sound like?" And he said, "Divine, of course."
He just seems so nice. I love the Kennedy Center honors they did for him was really good too. If you've never seen it, and he just looks so like he's sitting there. He's wearing like all black. He's got this little black hat on. And, he's just sitting there, just moving his head, just gently moving his head the entire time. I don't think I ever seen him speak or do anything. He was just kind of like just grooving.
Yeah, I know more about him from Guitar Magazine interviews, but like all of his Guitar Magazine interviews are that kind of wacky thinking. They are so entertaining to read. And it's like the one interview, they were talking about his equipment, and they're saying, you use this guitar and this pedal and this amp and stuff like that. Any particular settings or combinations that works for you. He says something like 75% of my tone comes from my legs. After I take a solo, my calves physically hurt. And it's like, what?
Okay, then. Well, we were talking about, the way Cher tweets and things. The creative minds have a different way of thinking, and they make great music.
Exactly.
That's all I could say.
Anyhow, so just to wrap up on Benny and the Jets,
we literally didn't talk at all about Benny and the Jets. It's a song by Elton John, if you were wondering. Okay, next.
Yeah, and the clapping is in the pre-chorus and the chorus. That's where it is, and it's one of those things. Unless you know it's there, you wouldn't know it's there. When you listen to it, you're like, "Oh yeah, there it is," but it's not. It doesn't come in your mind as a clapping song particularly.
No, but it does come in mind with kind of like a rhythmic kind of song, so I could see how it could work. I'm gonna have to go back and just like listen to all the songs from this episode to hear the clapping.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next song, which is an iconic clapping song, and like it opens with clapping, and that would be Rolls Royce and Car Wash.
It does open with clapping, and it's a great kind of clapping.
Yeah, it's like you hear a snippet of that, and you're like, "Yep, that's the Car Wash."
Well, and then it just goes with the whole, once again, rhythm of the song. And it's kind of like, almost to me, it almost sounds like an open hand. It's like the clapping has a little bit of an echo or something too. I don't know. There's like something distinct about the opening clapping in Car Wash.
It's probably double or triple tracked. And then by the time you put reverb and stuff like that,
there's
it makes
something
it sound
there
bigger.
I could hear. It makes it almost sound like, and maybe this is just a theory, but I thought they were trying to almost make it sound echoey, like in a car wash.
Are car washes typically echoey? I mean, the car wash around here,
the one open.
Well, the one here at the Motor Mile has got all massive industrial machinery in it where we may have discussed this before, but this is important stuff for a music podcast. So the Sheila Motor Mile car wash around here, it's a fully automatic car wash. So you drive into it and then you like drive in a track and then you put your car in neutral and then it sort of drags you through the car wash. And then depending on what program you have is what brushes come down and what squirts on it.
Here's my mindset. When you're talking about working at a car wash, I thought they were thinking about, like old school car washes that weren't automatic and it was people actually cleaning your car. Mm-hmm. And so I'm thinking like, it's like before the car's in there and they're like between car washes, they're singing this song about working at a car wash. And in my mind, this is probably way more detail than the person who produced this song was going for. It kind of sounds echoey. And like, I would feel like if there was nothing going on in like an open car wash, it would be echoey.
That's true, but I mean,
the logic's there,
even in the 70s, wouldn't there be some level of automation in a car wash? Wouldn't there be something in a car wash?
I don't know. When did the automatic car wash become a minute?
I don't know.
Like I said, hot off the presses. Real news. I don't know. That's just what I always thought. But anyway, yes, the clapping is iconic and it does sound like it has an echo. Maybe my theory was incorrect, but that's what I thought they were going for. Okay. Oh, Lord, help me. Okay. Anyway,
But there we are. So we still need to find out about when automatic car washes came into being. But we'll cover that on another episode. Maybe we'll do a catch up episode next time. It's like we'll discuss the ins and outs of automatic car washes.
I guess I don't have any time frame. Maybe my brain is stuck in the 1920s. I don't know. Okay, what's the next song?
Okay, the next song is Bachman Turner Overdrive and Taking Care of Business. Now, again, this is a song I didn't know was a clapping song.
Yeah, I don't hear clapping in my brain.
When you listen to it, it has clapping all the way through it, from beginning to end.
Oh, I mean, it's still that taking da, 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 da. Is that where is it like on the end beats? Like where
it's just in time with the music.
I can't hear that at all in my brain, so you just threw me for a loop there. And I've heard that song a million times.
Yeah, and as I said, as I was researching this, I was listening to them back so I could make some notes when the clapping comes in, and I was like, where's that clapping been all my life? It's there.
Hannah's way more observant than me and you about the clapping in songs, because
she's also more observant about lyrics and story songs. Like, you'll listen to a song that I've heard 1,000 times, a song I've played in a band, a song I know all the chords to and can play right now, and then she'll say, oh, that's the one with that and that and that, and then he leaves her, and then the guy dies, and I was like, what?
I just thought he was, humming along. I don't know. That's funny. Well, different brains, but yeah, I can't hear that song anymore without thinking about it. It's dumb, but on American Dad, which is kind of like Family Guy, the dad sings that song all the time, and for some reason that's all I think of. But yeah, I can't. I'm trying to play it in my head, but I do not hear clapping, so I'm going to have to go hear that one after the podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely there. You'll be surprised to hear it, but it's most definitely there.
Well, and there's a lot happening in songs, you've got layering of sounds and music. I can see how the clapping might go past you.
Yeah, but yeah, it's most definitely there. Okay, definitely. So the next song from the clapping realm. Now you're familiar with Badfinger, the Bad Band. Mm-hmm. They were a pet project of Paul McCartney and the Beatles, and they were on the Apple label. And Paul McCartney wrote them a throwaway song, which is an amazing song, which is No Matter What. Yeah, and that song,
which is one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, and it's like Paul McCartney just wrote that to give to them. I mean, like anyone else who wrote that, you'd be like, wow, this is such a fantastic, catchy pop song. But like Paul McCartney's just like knocking this stuff out. Oh, you can have this one, guys.
Well, and that song, I like Badfinger in general, but that song is probably in one of my top favorite songs, period. Like, I love that song. And it kind of makes me crazy to think that, I've talked about this before, to be able to just write music it's like you're putting your shoes on. There's some people, Paul McCartney's an example, are just so talented that they can take 30 seconds to write a throwaway song. It is literally no matter what. Are you kidding me? Yeah,
I mean, as I've said before, Honestly, I've never written a song from scratch, but I'm not good at that. I don't have that spark. What I'm good at is taking something that someone's already got some ideas on and putting my input on it, and then putting my little bit of a spin. I was with the band last weekend, and we was in our practice space, and the guitarist had a really cool riff, and the singer had some lyrics. And it sounded really dark in the choruses. I said, well, let's put the choruses in a major key, and then it needs a middle eight. Let's go to this chord. And it's like, boom, song.
Yeah.
But actually creating that from scratch is not a talent that I have.
No, I don't either. It's and even trying to wrap my head around it is weird. But now that I think about the No Matter What song, I mean, it's no matter what, I'll always be with you, no matter what. It is kind of basic in its lyrics.
Sure, but I mean, as far as a catchy pop song is concerned, it's great.
I mean, think about who would make the best catchy pop songs. A Beatle. That's what they did the best.
Of course.
So, I mean, are we shocked here? Not really, Joy. It always flips my mind to think that something to me that is, but I'm sure there's things that other people do that, Paul McCartney doesn't, we all have our different talents. That's just one for me that I just can't wrap my head around the idea of just being able to think of a song, put it on paper, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
I mean, I think in the realm of music, I'm sure Paul McCartney can probably outdo me in everything I can do.
Yes, in the realm of music, but maybe I could.
I don't know how good Paul McCartney would do managing an IT help desk, for example.
Or could Paul McCartney hula hoop? I can hula hoop.
I don't know. He probably can.
Yeah, my luck. He probably can't. It'd be like into rhythm with a song while playing his guitar or something stupid.
And he also paints artwork, like the album that he came out with, Egypt Station, recently. Like the Gatefold album has all this artwork in it that he painted.
Of course, because
it's just
some of us, God has favorites. God has favorites. That's all I can say. All right.
But anyhow, so in No Matter What, the clapping is in the slide guitar solo.
Yeah, that part I can hear because I've heard that before. I love that song, though. That's one of those songs that I adore. You know, that one is one that people do get confused who performs it. Because I've heard that there's like a thing where people actually think that was a Beatles song or something like that. Have you heard about that? Yeah,
and I think it's on the Beatles anthology is a Beatles or Paul McCartney version of it.
Makes sense. Yeah, people get confused who actually sang that song.
Yeah, there's I think it's the demo version. If it's not on the anthology, it's on a McCartney album I have as like a bonus track type thing.
Now, is Badfinger the one? I mean, I know who they are, but didn't something bad happen to some of the band members?
I think so. I think one of
them.
It's
like a really sad story.
I think there is I think one or several of them died, and I think there is a sad story that goes along with it.
Because they were like wellish, and people were marketing them as like the next Beatles type band. Mm-hmm. If I'm thinking of the right, okay, I am. If something bad happened, we might need to do an episode on it because there is a whole backstory, but I don't remember it. All right, what's the next song, Tim?
Okay, so this one is from 1973. It's literally last week, you know. Yeah. And this is Stevie Wonder, Living for the City.
Where's clapping in that?
Okay, so there's a break in it where he goes ba 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 na 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 na. After that, there's like a pre-chorus bit, and then it's like living, and there's a clapping all the way through that.
Oh, okay. Now I hear it. I feel like Stevie Wonder's a clapper in general. Like, I feel like when you see him singing and stuff, he tends to clap a lot when he's not playing the piano, of course.
Yeah, I think so. I think in the realm of clapping, he's maybe a virtuoso clappist.
Stevie Wonder can also hula hoop while playing the piano, probably driving. Yeah,
Stevie Wonder can do anything. Stevie Wonder is amazing.
Oh my gosh. I love them, and I know James Corden is controversial, but his Stevie Wonder's carpool karaoke was hilarious too. He's really funny. Like, he's very personable. And on the episode, apparently James Corden's wife is a huge Stevie Wonder fan. So they called her, and he's saying, I just called to say I love you to his wife. Oh, goodness. And it was really sweet. It was very sweet.
Stevie Wonder is funny. In the Wikipedia article for We Are the World, apparently, so like you came in the studio, going back to what we were talking about before, when you come into the studio, Quincy Jones had that thing about saying, check your egos at the door. And then Stevie Wonder was greeting everyone as they came in. And he said, guys, if you don't get your vocal parts down in one take, me and Ray Charles are driving you home.
That was a joke on the carpool karaoke. He was like, just let me drive. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, it seems that must be a joke that Stevie Wonder has been enjoying for a long time.
He just keeps it running. It's an ongoing Stevie Wonder joke.
Exactly.
No. I loved when they did the Stevie Wonder tribute a few years back. I've told you guys about that. It's one of my favorite concerts. They brought in some really good musicians to do, and he just looked like he was having the time of his life.
Exactly. You've seen the concert from the White House from a number of years ago that has Paul McCartney and Stevie Wonder on it.
It's so good.
It is absolutely fantastic. Stevie Wonder is an artist I would love to see. I don't know whether he's retired from touring at this point. I don't know.
You never really see him touring. I mean, he's probably like, meh, I've done that for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting up there. I mean, but you know, if I heard that Stevie Wonder was coming to Greensboro, I'm there.
Yeah, I don't care.
You have to go to that.
Well, I told you my dad saw Stevie Wonder when he was like 15 years old.
Yeah, when he was little Stevie Wonder.
When he was little Stevie. Yep. And it was just him on the piano. And he wasn't famous. Dad just happened to come and played at his school, or I think his school. I'd have to ask Dad for sure, but I'm pretty sure it was his school. They didn't know who he was. They were like, meh, cool. We got out of school for an assembly. That's all they really cared about. And then turns out it was Stevie Wonder.
Wow. Amazing. He is somebody who qualifies for a Grammy in my eyes as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, 110%. But also, you never really hear. I feel like he's got to just be a nice guy because you never hear anything negative about him.
No, not in the slightest.
I've never heard anyone say anything negative about him, so I feel like he's probably a really nice guy.
Yeah.
All right.
And with a great sense of humor too.
And he likes clapping.
There we are. I mean, he's the complete package.
Talk about a triple threat. All right. What's the next song?
All right. This one comes from 1978. This is The Cars and My Best Friend's Girl. And that's another song which has a clapping intro.
It does have it. And then it goes, and then it goes into that famous, she's my best friend's girl. So do you think in modern day songs, if it's clapping, you don't think it's actually people clapping, right?
No, because I've got one that's not necessarily modern that coming up in a bit. Yeah. But I don't think is real clapping. It's synth clapping.
Because you can easily use, there are things that could sound like a clap. Like in any different instruments, different things, different synth. But she's my best friend's girl. I'm sure is probably live clapping. Yeah,
and the other interesting thing about Best Friend's Girl, Elliot Easton, who plays guitar on it, if you listen to the guitar break in My Best Friend's Girl, it's a very country sounding guitar break in a 80s new wave pop song. And he said he was channeling James Burton, and James Burton was the guitar player with Elvis. Well, it was originally Scotty Moore, and then later on he was James Burton. And he was channeling a lot of his licks. And I never really clicked that was what he was going for. And I heard him in an interview, and then I listened to it back, and I was like, of course this is classic country style guitar playing. But it's funny that it worked in the context of this 80s new wave song.
Isn't that weird though? When you hear something through and you don't hear it, but then when someone tells you it, it becomes so obvious. You're like, duh, why didn't I think about that? Yeah,
well, it's almost like when you buy a car, you don't ever see them on the road. Then the minute you buy one, every third car is the same car that you drive. Yours.
No, when I got my new SUV, I was talking to my friend Adam about that. He goes, you unlock the secret. He said, when you buy the car, you unlock a secret. And now they all just are coming for you. Because it's true. I said the exact same thing. I'm like, I have never noticed a Dodge Journey in my life. And now every time I turn around, I feel like there's one right beside me. And somebody, Barry... what is his name? Somebody who works in the IT department. BJ? I don't know. Yeah, he has my car at our work. He has the exact same car as me, and twice I've tried to get into it, thinking it was mine after we go to leave. And I looked in the call. I was like, why don't my door open? So I'm like, mad because I'm like, I don't have to give it. Every once in a while you have to actually get your key fob out because it does something funky. I'm like, I don't have to get my key fob out. That's for the 1980s. What is this? So then I look at it. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, son of a gun, that's not my car. It had Dr. Pepper in the cup holder, which I don't drink Dr. Pepper. So I was like, this is, I guess somebody, and then I start looking around, and 2 cars over is my car, and I just slowly back away. But twice now I've tried to get into his car after work. He probably thinks I'm crazy.
Well, my car, I have a white Nissan Altima, or Nissan, should I say, for our UK listeners. And there was one of those parked at work that was the same model and the same color. And I made sure I parked side by side. It was maybe the best day ever. It's the best day ever. At least you didn't try to get into theirs, though. No, I knew which one was which. I think their one actually had nicer wheels than mine, but it was the same. It was the same model. It was just pleasing that I had them side by side. I also did that at the Kroger or the K. Rogers. I went in to just grab something real quick, came back out, go out to the side because I parked it on the side because I didn't want to have to deal with people, and somebody else had my exact car. Go to open the door, doesn't open. I'm about ready to break into this girl's car, thinking the battery make it look. I'm like, there's a car seat in that. That's not mine. And I'm just expecting this person to walk out and see me try to break into their car. I think what you need to get yourself a great vanity license plate is what you need. I need to invest. I mean, I have political stickers on it, so you think it would be obvious, but you're not always looking at the back of your car. I need something that makes it obvious from the front. Yeah, you need a vanity license plate. Spend that extra $10 a year to get anything you want. And I don't know what you'd put on it, but
I'll find something. Tim. But yeah, there's my the woes of when you buy a car. This is a music podcast, how it goes for you.
It's not the woes of having to pay for it every month for the rest of your days. No, it's just occasionally you might see one that's just the same.
We don't talk about that part, Tim. That's the depressive part we don't speak of.
Goodness me. I mean, I've got a nice car. I do have a nice car, and it was almost brand new when I got it, but like every month when that payment comes out, it's like, goodness me. And I mean, it's not as expensive as some. I mean, I know people who have big fat trucks where their payment is $900, $1,000 a month.
That seems crazy to me.
It's nowhere near that. But even still, like, it comes out.
And yours is probably, because I bought my car before you. Mine's 2015, so I have a feeling yours is probably more than mine.
Yeah, mine's a 20. Is it 20 or 21? It's a 20. It's a 2020.
I lucked out, though, because mine was leased before I got it. So when I got it, it only had 30,000 miles on it because it was only leased for the lot for 3 years. Mm-hmm. So the only person so Sheila did all the maintenance on it, and it was just somebody who leased it for 3 years. So I was able to see the history. So when I got my car, it was only had 30,000 miles on it.
My car had 3,000 miles on it. And I tell you how I got it. It was at a time when the COVIDs was kicking off and all the rental companies were getting rid of their rental stocks. They never thought they'd ever rent cars again. So it had been with a rental company just for a very short period of time. And then they sold it off to whoever, and then it ended up in the dealership. So it was more or less brand new. It'd probably been rented 3 times. And then I got it. Mine
was just that somebody happened to lease it, and then when their 3 years was up, they wanted a new, they wanted something different. So, but that is something to look at, guys. This is my tip for people who are thinking about buying a car, because we're obviously experts at that, Tim. Not. The cool thing is, if you do get a vehicle that was previously leased, you can see all the work history that's been done on it, because they have to do it on the shop lot, like on Sheila's lot or wherever you go, because it's their lease vehicle. So that was kind of cool.
There we are. Well, that's car buying tips.
There's my other tip of the day.
And also, to finish out the car buying tips, if you can avoid it, don't buy a new one. Always buy one that's just not quite new. Because you lose so many thousands of dollars the minute you drive it off the lot.
Yeah, it's not like a house. It depreciates.
Exactly. There we are.
I didn't know we were a finance podcast, Tim. Please don't come for us, internet. We are not experts.
All right. Anyhow, on to this very loosely themed music podcast that we host every week. So this is John Mellencamp, who sometimes he's John Cougar Mellencamp. Okay. Sometimes he's John Cougar, or sometimes he was Johnny Cougar. He went through various different guises over the years. And this is Jack and Diane, and this has clapping all the way through. Now, I'm not convinced this is real hand clapping. I think this is synth clapping.
I could hear that. Well, I know exactly that. I mean, that song is probably been played 1,000 bajillion times and everything since the beginning of time. And then Jessica Simpson sampled it for her song in the 90s too. And right at the beginning, every time the Jessica Simpson song starts, it's like that internal debate: which song am I getting? She really did. That song is credited. It's the entire opening. That whole clapping bit is the opening. And I can't remember what the name of that song is. Jessica Simpson did. Doesn't matter. Not really.
I'm not familiar with that, and I don't know, nothing against Jessica Simpson personally, but I don't have a lot of desire to seek it out.
What do you mean? I mean, she was a thing when I was a child. I just remember she had that song that sampled that. But that song is also a song that I think has been used in car commercials and TV shows and movies. Anytime they're trying to convey a couple, type relationship.
Sure. I mean,
small town couple.
Yeah, I'm sure that Mr. Johnny Cougar, or whatever his name is these days, has seen some royalty action off the back of that song.
I think I'm in love with you. That's the Jessica Simpson song.
Okay.
I just thought that you're gonna go find it. But anyway, if you guys were wondering, that's the song. Yeah, I'm sure he got some nice money off of that one. And if you turned on any of the local radio stations near us, Tim, I guarantee you could find that song playing right now if you just start skimming.
I'm sure you could. You know the interesting thing about John Mellencamp, and I didn't know this until I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. He's actually a well-renowned artist.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he paints, and there was a whole exhibition at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of his art that he painted. And he's actually a really good painter.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that because we walked into this exhibition, and I was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." And you're like, "Oh, John Mellencamp, really?"
I just know him as a guy who's wearing boots, Levi jeans, a jean jacket, holds his guitar off to his side while he leans against something for an album cover. So you know what I'm talking about? Like,
yes.
Okay. I'm like, I'm not crazy. That's what I know him as.
Well, but there you go. Anyhow, let's move on to another song here. And this is the Steve Miller Band, Take the Money and Run. Now, this when I think of clapping songs, this is the one that comes to mind. When I was forming my list, this was numero one at the top.
It's a good song, too, though.
I mean,
can you go wrong with Steve Miller Band? Not really.
The Mighty Miller. Steve Miller is fantastic. It's Hannah's favorite. She loves Steve Miller. And I took her to see the Steve Miller Band at the Royal Albert Hall 2009 to 2010, something about that. And she'd always wanted to see Steve Miller. And I heard that the tickets were available, and I booked it, and I surprised her and told her. And it was such a great time. And if you ever go to the Albert Hall, you have like a floor section like you would in any kind of concert venue. But it's in like almost like a circle, and they have boxes all the way around.
That's cool.
And the box that we had, it was like at the side of the stage, sort of. So you could see what was going on behind the curtain before the curtain dropped.
That's kind of cool.
Was kind of cool. And I mean, he was really good. And I mean, he's another person where he's got such a good back catalogue of songs. I don't think it's actually possible to not like Steve Miller.
Well, I mean, Take the Money and Run, Jet Airliner, Abracadabra. I don't know. We'd probably be here all week. Yeah,
but I mean, it's just good music. And even the tour that he was on when he was at the Albert Hall, he'd released a new album called Bingo. Now, you get a lot of like quote unquote legacy artists who will release a new album maybe years after the fact.
Yeah.
And it's not that great. But Bingo is fantastic. It really is a good album. And, I was never really much of a deep Steve Miller fan. But when this album came out, I've listened to it, and there's some really good songs on there.
So you're saying that one was a bingo.
Bingo!
You got it right there. See? That's why they keep me around, for the quality jokes.
Well, there we go. Well, let's we're getting somewhere near the end, but let's just do a couple more.
Sure.
So this one is Prince and Little Red Corvette. Now, Little Red Corvette is another one of these songs where I think it's not real clapping, and it's all the way through from beginning to end. But to me, it sounds like a clapping sample, or if it's not a clapping sample, it's clapping that's been recorded and done stuff to it.
I can't hear the clapping in that at all. I'm gonna have to listen to that because you're saying it's from all the way through the song, but I'm like, I don't hear it.
Yeah, it's part of the percussion sound. It's the clapping.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. So it probably bleeds in. It sounds almost like a hi-hat or something. I mean, it's a great song, and I love Prince. I just don't remember it clapping.
No, and again, that was another one when I was researching. It's like, really? Does this have clapping on it? And then you hear it. It's like, oh, there you go.
It's weird how we it's weird how you don't think about those things, but then when someone points it out to you, you're like, oh, yeah, how did I miss that? But I wonder, it wouldn't surprise me, though, Tim, if it was somehow actually Prince clapping, but he claps so good that you just think it's an instrument.
Yeah, maybe he had a anatomically correct clapping hand or something. I don't know.
I mean, he was good at everything else. Why not add that to the list? He was probably hula hooping too while doing it. God has favorites.
Marvelous. Okay, well, let's close this episode out where we've discussed about 3 clapping songs and spoke about how to buy a car. This one, how could you not mention this? We spoke about it on other episodes, but to me, certainly for me as a fan, this is the one. This is the clapping song, and this is Radio Gaga.
Yeah, the whole song is a clappy song.
Yeah, Queen, From the Works, 1984. And of course, in the video, they started this whole thing. All we hear here is Radio Gaga, clap, clap. And they do the thing where they got their hands out and they're going clap, clap. And it was done in the video. And then, of course, when they performed it live, everyone saw that. And then it became a thing. And then you see they did it at Wembley and they did it Rio and all the other places they played around at that time. But the definitive of that is Live Aid, and they've got the whole of Wembley Stadium completely in their hands, and they go, all we hear is Radio Gaga, and the whole stadium is doing the clapping thing, and it is just amazing.
Well, you know, it's so funny to me, Tim. So I was talking to somebody recently who is a Queen fan, right? Like big Queen fan, but they said they didn't care for Radio Gaga. And he's just like, I don't know, it just sounds silly to me. And I'm like, that's the point of the song. All we hear is Radio Gaga. I'm like, it's like the point of the song went past them that it's not supposed to. You know what I'm saying, Tim?
Yeah.
Right past them. Like, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, so this is an era of Queen that I would say is controversial, but a lot of hardcore Queen fans like early Queen. They're like 70s Queen. Night at the Opera, Day at the Races, that kind of era. And then when you got into the 80s, you had, of course, the kind of Magic album, and this before this, and then you got the Works, and people are not so much into that if you're a hardcore Queen fan. And some people said they sold out during this time. But I mean, I'm a fan of all the eras, but there is a subset of fans who only like the earlier material from Queen.
And that... I mean, I feel like in me, that's kind of what I like about them is that they're not the same all the time. And I mean, if you can't hear, you had your time, like, you know what I mean? You had your chance. That in radio, like the way he sings it and the parts of his, like that part to me is so classic Freddie Mercury Queen, the way he conveys that message. And it's got kind of a little bit of that operatic thing. It's got that 80s thing. He was going every piece of it. For me, and maybe I'm about to break the internet. Don't come for me, internet, and hardcore Queen fans. I like that each genre is a little different. It showed that they grew as artists. They were more, they were well-rounded. They could do different things. I don't like, and this is kind of, okay, this is really going to make people mad. Don't come for me, internet. Kind of like what we talked about, how I'm not a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, or those... When it feels like a lot of the songs are all just filler and they're kind of very stagnant and the same, and there's not that versatility, it doesn't interest me the way. And that's why I think for me, that genre of Queen is one of my favorites. But yeah, I mean, I can hear Killer Queen and I can hear, all of them. And like, yeah, they're all going to sound a little different and they've got different, but I thought that's what made them so iconic for me personally.
Sure. I mean, because Queen goes from Stone Cold Crazy is thrash metal, and then you've got progressive rock, and then you've got straight ahead pop, and then you've got dance, and then you've got soft synth music. There's so many genres of music within their catalog. It's just not all the same thing.
And that's what I feel like. For me, I love that, and I think that kind of sums them up as like the artists they were. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. So maybe that's my controversial hot take on Queen from 30, 40, 50 years ago.
And they have an iconic clapping song. I mean,
have an iconic clapping song.
Everything.
Yeah, I think that Freddie Mercury guy's got some talent, man. Never heard of him, but I think he's pretty talented.
I think he may have made some great music. Maybe we need to check that out.
Maybe we need to, if you've never checked it out, go for it, guys. But yeah, that for me is what sums up. Well, then what do they think? Where does the line kind of draw? Are they like more like We Will Rock You, Night at the Opera, or they Don't Stop Me Now? Like, where do these iconic fans, like, where do they draw the line?
It's the 80s output.
It's just the 80s output. Okay. So do they not come back for the 90s then, I guess? Well, early 90s.
I don't know. I've just heard that. I used to be in and around the Queen fan community. I used to be in the Queen fan club, and they used to do events, and they used to do like bus tours where they'd take you to places and things like that. And some people were dismissive about some of the 80s output, and they preferred, the classic era of Queen.
Interesting.
I can enjoy all the eras the same, though I will say about 1982, if I was going to go back in time to see them, I'd go back to 1982, that concert in Montreal, which I think was just at the cusp before they started fully embracing synthesizers and stuff. And that is just amazing.
I do like Hammer to Fall, though.
Hammer to Fall is great. That's off the works, too.
Hammer to Fall. So maybe, and actually, Tim he saw me wear this once. I have a Works t-shirt. I have the Works, like the t-shirt of it. It's one of my favorite albums. You kind of made me sad by that. I didn't know that was something. Maybe I'm just not up on my totally modern music clubs. All right, with that, we'll leave it.
Okay, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
To remind me of another day to